Oh no.
Oh,
No
you
media
done
sources.
you done messed up, Kyle.
And the music's stuck. Nice. That's my
I
bad.
refuse to speak until this is fixed.
I'm not fixing it. It's just this way now.
I want to be a circle. Oh my gosh, I need to be a circle.
I don't know who just changed it to that one, but that's worse.
Oh my gosh, Kyle.
I didn't do this.
Why do we like the circle so much? I don't quite
Can you
get
see
that.
the
There
writing
you
on
go.
my desk?
There we go. We're gonna zoom in on whoever's talking,
No,
so that
we
your
should not.
giant face
Good
occupies
evening,
the
everyone.
We'll make it worse.
Welcome to another episode.
We'll just
of
stare at
Investment
Amanda's
Plus
beautiful face the whole time.
Story for your source for breaking stories inside the party across the country and around the world. We are LP Alliance, an intercaucus coalition, rebuilding the Libertarian Party, revolutionizing the liberty movement, and for the love of God, Kyle, can you please make me a circle? That's all I want in life is just to be a circle.
Nope.
That's only slightly better. They're you're slowly getting it right. Okay, good, wonderful. Wow, everyone. We can't just have a normal week, can we? I am joined by Jake Porter. I'm joined by Rose Leatherman. I am not joined by Kyle Davis. He's just here, and he is
I stand
screwing
against.
with everything. Not in solidarity with us. Everyone, how are you this week?
So it's been a very slow week, hasn't it? Not much has happened. I don't think we have much to talk about.
Ugh.
We won't discuss this week ever again. It won't be
It's been
something
so
to come
yeah,
back up.
it's honestly been just extremely boring.
Honestly, I just think that this week is just going to keep happening. It's not even going to be Groundhog Day. We're just going to be stuck in this week forever. It's just going to keep on going.
I feel like several
Time
weeks
is
have passed this week.
Subjective.
It's been several months just this week.
It has. Yeah, it's this. These are the years. These are the years, everyone, my good people, when decades happen in the span of weeks. No, really, nobody. Okay. Should we start? I think we should start with party news, and then possibly we'll get to what's happening in the country, because things are happening in the country too. It's crazy. Maybe we should just begin chronologically. Last Saturday, there was a Colorado convention.
I disagree. I think we start with California based on who's here.
Let's start with California. I'm not in charge of this show anymore. Hello, Mimi. How are you doing?
Anarchy.
I'm doing okay. How are you guys doing?
Days?
Wonderful.
Good.
We do have, in fact, a breaking story out of California. And Mimi, I suppose you're the best person to break it to us. What's happening there?
Oh, what breaking story are we talking? Are we talking about Ed Clark?
You're talking about, well, we're talking about the California Mises Caucus, for one.
Oh, I don't know if Mimi's aware of this yet.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well then we'll break it to Mimi. California Mises Caucus is dissolving. It has dissolved. It has been dissolved by Avery and Malagon.
Oh, well, I'm homesick today, and I have not paid attention to anything except for briefly to Kyle and also Caryn Ann, who's been texting me all day.
Nice.
So I missed that, but that makes me laugh hysterically.
Yes.
I'd laugh harder, except for I feel like crap. Wow.
Can he
Well,
really be said to have had a Mises caucus though for a while? Like, I mean,
he
Adrian
has.
was kicked out as an organizer. That much I remember because I was a Mises.
Only
organizer.
sort of,
But
No,
because he owned the California Mises Caucus.
right. So he was kicked. Okay, so he was kicked from national not long after the 2024 California convention, where Angela ended up going like on an apology tour of how horrible he was. And they kicked him, and they said that they weren't going to endorse him for at-large because that's what he was going to run for in 2024. So they tried to get the assets back, and he said no because he owned them. So he kept the California Mises Caucus. So it was all his, with a few other people. And at one point, I believe Kat kind of got control of the Twitter, but then got taken off of it. So he was the Mises Caucus of California Twitter. They
Meredith
They
said it was in
did-
August.
it was in August that happened.
August 2024, as per Meredith.
and to answer the scientific libertarian, it's DMSO. Okay,
No, it was
that's
straight milk.
usually your go-to solvent for most things.
Just straight milk.
But
Milk
yeah,
is a very mild acid.
I couldn't remember the exact dates, but yeah, it was so that was kind of kind of nasty, and that's where the animosity between Angela and Heiss versus Adrian kind of started. So, but Adrian says that he's basically leaving everything. So I guess maybe that's true. But thanks for telling me that. Is there like, was this announced on Twitter or something, or X?
It was announced by Kyle in our TBL group chat.
No, shit, where did I see it? I did see it on Twitter. I mean, that happens. It got sent out on Twitter where Mises was mad about it. And I thought that was hilarious, along with the idea that they are apparently terrified of leaks and are thereby throwing state organizers out again, because they have plenty of people left to do that with.
Well, they just get a new batch. They can recruit a new batch of crypto whales.
Which is why Angela's asking for $50,000 to be able to
recruit
right now.
the people
And RFK
with the
people who are totally going to be interested at this point in what the Libertarian Party can do for them after the Libertarian Party served its purpose by helping RFK.
Maha Blast!
Yeah, I can guarantee you they did not get the people who are actually doing the leaks, because they always purge the people who are the least likely to be leakers, because maybe they criticized the caucus or something the caucus was doing at one point.
Mm-hmm.
A good leaker is going to be your model Mises Caucus organizer. They're going to be doing everything right. They're going to be super close to the leadership, and then you won't suspect them. Okay, I'm just saying, you guys suck at rooting out leakers.
But Mimi, you do have an op-ed that was published in OC Register. It has been cross-posted on the Torch. And this is an endorsement of libertarian participation in and messaging through the No Kings protest. This is a great op-ed. I read it. It's fantastic. So you wrote this, and this has been published in a few papers, yeah?
Yeah, so it was published in the 11 newspapers of the Southern California News Group. So it's like the Orange County Register, the Long Beach Press Telegram, the Riverside Press Enterprise. There's 11 of them. It's a total of 6.3 million readership. And
Nice.
I've had other of my op-eds published there, but I wrote this because I thought it was important.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent it in, and he immediately said he would go ahead and publish it in all of the papers. So I was really excited, because I think that this is a good opportunity to reach out to people that, aren't in our inner circle, that maybe with everything going on might see us as a viable alternative. And so
Yeah.
I like doing stuff like this.
Tell us a little bit about this article.
Well, it kind of actually got prompted from something that Kyle had sent me about a possible thing that might have happened, and that thing didn't happen. But then I saw it, and I'm like, well, this is a really good opportunity, because I can get this published before July 4th. And so I don't know, I looked at it and I started writing it. And so, I mean, I don't know I could talk about what it says if you want, but I mean.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
so I
absolutely.
think you took, this was, I think I know what you're referring to. This is a resolution that we had at LP Alliance that we were working on and still are working on getting passed by various state affiliates, but you really took some of this wording, made it your own, which is always really good. So yeah, you can talk a little bit about what it says.
Yeah, so it basically talks about the fact that, I think that I think that the Libertarian Party, this is all stuff we've always believed in. I mean, this has been part of our platform since the beginning, since 1971. And I want people to understand that this isn't I think a lot of people think this is a left kind of a thing, but it's not. It's a liberty thing. People should have, this encompasses everything that's going on right now, especially here in California with the ICE raids, with just everything that is happening. So I wanted to kind of take what the resolution was, and I didn't know, like, if the resolution was, I didn't know what I could say about that because it was the thing. But I kind of started with that, and then I changed it in several respects because I didn't like the fact that it had the words just wars. I don't think there's such a thing as just wars, so I changed that to basically end the wars. I also wanted to be very clear on our opinion on, we're fine with private unions, but I don't believe that we're fine with public employee unions because that's collusion. So I wanted to, I added a whole paragraph about that.
You did, and it was great. It was great.
And I was trying really hard not to be too overly, because one of the biggest backers of the No Kings movement is SEIU, which is
Yes,
huge. And
it's a mega union. Yeah, yeah.
and it's got, it's got private industry as well as they're the biggest public employee union out there.
Yeah, it's absolutely colluding. I used to go to UCLA, and the grad students there are represented by UAW, and that is, this public sector employees being represented by a private sector union. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I mean, like when I ran in 2016, one of my biggest things was, in fact, that it was the collusion of the fact that the person I was running against was getting the majority of his money. And by the way, he had, in his campaign fund, I think like $2 million, and I had like 20,000 or something like that. But I actually did get some, just earned media talking about the fact that, the state was going bankrupt because of all of these deals that were made. And it's the people that are running that get the money from the public employees unions. And then they're the ones that are negotiating contracts that are bankrupting, the various municipalities and the state. So it's kind of a passion of mine. So I wanted to be really clear on that. So yeah, I took liberty to change stuff, but I thought it turned out pretty good, and so did Sal. So
it's fantastic. Yeah. No, my issue with unions comes with, I actually am a supporter of small local independent unions. I think it's great if workers want to organize within a company, within an organization, whatever. My big issue, and I think this is where we come together here from different angles of it. I am very concerned about the collusion between the state and unions in the private sector, not the small unions. It's the way that that large unions like UAW, like SEIU, work to push out alternative unions and basically try and co-opt entire industries through legislation and through, the NLRB, blocking democratic votes to disaffiliate from unions. It's really sick stuff. So I was happy to see. Yeah, I was happy to see that paragraph.
Yeah, I agree with you there as well. It's not that all private unions are fine, but there's a place for them, and that's And once again, that's a situation where it's voluntary cooperation because ultimately, what a business can do is they can say, okay, fine, I will fire you all and hire new people. It's a thing that they could do. I mean, it doesn't usually happen, but with the public employee unions, if you're a public employee, you have to be, I mean, there are supposedly safeguards to be able to opt out. That doesn't happen. They make it very difficult.
Right.
You have to do it. Now, granted, I don't think that we should have as many public workers in the first place, but if they exist, it's not good. So, yeah. So, and sorry, you did blindside me about the first thing that you asked me since I had no idea about it. And, obviously Meredith would probably know more about that than me because I've never been a member of the Mises Caucus, California or otherwise. So, but I did want to, I mean, since you said California, I don't know if this is appropriate, but I wanted to just kind of mention that Ed Clark, passed away yesterday.
Absolutely.
Which breaks my heart. And, of course, he lived not far from me with Alicia, and I spoke with Alicia this morning, and it was heartbreaking because, she's 97 and she's now alone, and she's not quite sure what she's going to do next. But I can tell you that they're not planning to have any kind of service or anything. Sorry to be a downer there.
No,
But I
it's
just
not.
wanted
We
to
were
say
going
it.
to mention that anyhow, because it's
Yeah.
obviously very important. You're a libertarian candidate for president, and yeah, it's something that we thought it was important to mention. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, he also is, initially what got ballot access for California when he ran for governor, and I guess that would have been 1978,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and he got like over 5%.
Yeah, which is wonderful. I mean, I put libertarianism on the map in a really great way. I think wonderful with messaging. Should we transition? Oh, but first of all, this op-ed was to motivate people to get out and go to the No Kings protests, and again, bring libertarian messaging to the No Kings protests, right? Because there is no coherent messaging, there is no coherent ideology. Mimi is absolutely right that one of the big organizers behind the protests is with SEIU. We would like to be putting libertarian messaging out there instead. And so that requires mass engagement, participation with very similar language to what you see printed in this op-ed. The next No Kings protest is going to be tomorrow. And then there are also going to be protests on the 17th of July. And you can bet that there will be other ones as well. We are mobilizing affiliates. We're mobilizing members all around the country to get out and tell everyone that the Libertarian Party is the only party of no kings, as well as what no kings means. We can talk about that a little bit more later on in the show as well.
Yeah, I've been working with Los Angeles County Libertarian Party.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the vice chair of the county, and trying to get people, maybe to go to some of these protests. I can guarantee you I will not be doing anything tomorrow because I've got a fever and stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's also stuff happening, day of service on July 17th. So hopefully I'll be doing better by then. But Santa Clara County is also trying to get people organized in the north to do similar things. So I've been kind of trying to spread this in various counties in California.
Excellent. Yeah, we're working on it in Wisconsin too. And I know that there are folks elsewhere. I know that Michigan did some good work last time that the first time that we tried to get people out in Michigan, there were a lot of people in Michigan, a lot of people in Georgia. So yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and you said something really important. It's like, I think it's important that we get out there. We're not trying to like co-opt a movement. But I think that we're really well suited for this particular movement because we already have all of the parts of it like in our platform. And I think that, being clear that like the large unions are part of it, and that's great, but they're not really the messaging that I'd like it to have.
Right. Exactly.
I think Meredith and then Jocelyn bring up good points here. Is there anything that we can do for Alicia Garcia Clark?
At this particular moment, I don't think so. It was really heartbreaking talking to her this morning, and she's not ready for anybody, really. I mean, I might even call too soon, but I do talk to her, I do talk to her, and it was...
I even mean like fundraising or anything. Is there anything that we can send that might help or anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, they do have money. She has, full-time caretakers taking care of her. Again, she's 97 years old. Her son died a few years ago, which was really tragic. So, yeah, I really can't think of anything, but what I am hoping for, and I've talked to some other people about this, including like Ted Brown, who actually has known them since 1979, about having some kind of a memorial service for him here. The libertarian community do that. And when we start working on that, I may have something that maybe other people can help with in order to set something up.
Great. Let us know on that one.
I certainly will.
And thanks for popping in as well. We can transition now to Colorado, I think, which is having its own issues. So Colorado kind of started a chain reaction. On Saturday, there was and wasn't a Colorado convention. As many of you may have known, the Colorado Convention was apparently improperly noticed because it was not noticed in a newspaper of
Efficient circulation.
yes, exactly. Basically, that means for them that needs to be noticed in a newspaper that is available in every county in which members reside. So this did not occur. As a result, there were certain things such as elections that could not go forward at that convention. However, there were other things that could, various changes, I think, is it bylaws that could be...
So effectively, the way this this bylaw is in the bylaws because of the state law of notice for political parties.
No, but I mean, like, what could they change is what
I
I'm saying.
understood.
Okay.
I was just explaining.
Okay.
I was just explaining.
All right.
So the only thing that the state law says is that you can't elect your board without at least a 15-day newspaper notice. They had done all the rest of notice where they had to send out to members and everything else, but it wasn't in the newspaper properly. So thereby, the way some parliamentarians read this, and we, Richard Brown was on with us on Sunday and agreed that this is something that can be interpreted by the membership, thereby it would appear that a convention that doesn't elect members is okay and can do anything other than electing, not members, I'm sorry, the board. So as long as they don't elect their officers, everything is arguably on the up and up. And so they went through this and they did everything other than elect officers, and they have pushed as a reconvene so that there can be the proper 15-day notice. And so they would get together for the next convention just to elect officers and then be done.
Right. And so this happened. This is being contested. And from what has been said and from what we know as individuals who, are working on mobilizing delegates, Caryn Ann Harlos was not really involved in plotting this. And again, we can say that.
She was at the convention.
Yes.
She did state the case at the convention, but she was not in the groups leading up to it.
Which we know.
Yes, I was in some of those planning
meetings. Was I? Yes. Adrian Malagon then moved to have Caryn Ann Harlos investigated. After this, Caryn Ann Harlos responded by moving to have Adrian Malagon investigated. Stephen Nikela responded by declaring both motions dilatory. Caryn Ann Harlos responded through resignation. This is the sequence of events that happened. So she has resigned from committees. She has resigned from the LNC. The LNC is now out a secretary. I thought I heard someone interrupting me.
Well, wasn't that then wasn't the idea that both motions were dilatory, wasn't that also challenged and then that was rescinded? It's hard to keep up with what the sequence of events, basically.
Getting into everything that was said for the whole of the Caryn Ann situation, you would basically have to watch our entire coverage from Sunday and Swampcast coverage from yesterday to get most of a full picture. And then we're having Stephen on next Wednesday for Stephen's rebuttal, as well as some talking about where the LP is going and everything with Stephen. It's complicated, and there's a lot of different story.
Yes.
I would like them to slow down their soap opera. They have too many episodes of it. Let's cut back to one per week instead of one every day, because I can't keep up with it. I'm a big fan, but I can't keep up with it all.
Well, you were on vacation too, and you came back and it was like a season that had passed. So I know
I'm just
that's
trying to catch up, but
yeah, it's very difficult. We did have Caryn Ann Harlos on earlier this week. We'll be having Stephen Nikela on Wednesday. As an LPA After Dark special. So what that means is it's a little bit more casual. I know you're thinking, how could it possibly be more casual than it is right now? But it can be.
This will be drunk.
It is, yeah. I mean, just speak for yourself. It's really kind of, you let the person whom you're speaking with tell their story, do a monologue, right? And then maybe we'll have more structure after if Stephen wants to give his rebuttal for that. So we are short a secretary now. We have various lists being compiled for who is to take Caryn Ann Harlos' seat as secretary. We also have
with
news.
Adrian Malagon as
Potentially you.
Yes. There are other people on the list as well.
Like James Wiley.
Yes, like
Colorado.
James Wiley. Yes, exactly. And it could just
He
as
can't
easily...
read calendars.
Well,
he
doesn't
can't
James
make
Wiley-
calendars either.
He did
One
say
of
he
the
can use
requirements
AI
that
to
you have
take
to be able
the
to read
minutes,
read a calendar.
I do think you should need to read a calendar, because otherwise you're going to miss meetings and it's not going to be great. And James Wiley has already missed meetings of the LNC that he should have been attending. So who knows? The Mises Caucus is also busy appealing the Special Investigative Committee report to the Libertarian Party Judicial Committee. I think Kyle and Jake have more of the story on this. So go ahead.
Well, okay. So yeah, the Mises Caucus is busy collecting signatures. That way they can appeal the judicial or the investigatory committee report, the findings. And, you know, their arguments are pretty much what Hector Roos said a week or two ago on here. Actually, it's pretty much just basically the same thing that he said. I think they're taking him and they're having him, and it appears Austin Martin of Hawaii do their defense, their rebuttal of it. I don't think that's going to go very well. There's so many holes in what their argument is. You know, one is that they claim that the investigatory committee just copy and pasted my work. I guarantee you I did not put 94, 96 pages or whatever of work that was into it. I did not do that much research. A lot of things that I did not find, I didn't have the ability to find because I didn't have access to internal documents that were in there. And it all relies on this idea that I used this anonymous attorney that just gave me this, and I don't know who he is. I know who the attorney is. I believe Meredith has also seen the document, the actual document. I've got evidence that where it came from, the third-party source that it came from, and so I don't imagine this is going to have much of an impact. They're just trying to do anything they can. I do find it odd, though, that they want to give me the ability to write another brief to the Judicial Committee, and I will be more than happy to do that and do some more investigations and just pack that into a new report.
You've already done a little bit more investigating on Rescue the West and Rage Against the War Machine. Is that correct? You also shared some of this with us.
Yeah. So Rescue the West was approved for basically tax-exempt status. Mm-hmm. So that means they have been approved to the IRS. At some point, we will probably see a filing. The IRS is way behind on financial filings for that. So who knows how long that will be. Will that be this year, next year, 2 years? We don't know. But at some point, it appears they are going to be filing if they took that step to file for the tax-exempt status, and they were approved, I think it was like on April 17th. Rage Against the War did not raise enough money to have to report all that. I don't know about the prior year, though, because they should have, based on what we know, for the 2023 rally, but last year they did not. So they will not be filing for last year, at least.
Okay. So what does that tell us in terms of this investigation, in terms of the allegations?
Well, at some point we will find out more. There's, a lot of unproven things that get put out there that Angela made all this money off of it. I imagine there were some expenses getting all the people they had come in to speak for Rescue the West. Mm-hmm. Now, the question is, did Angela make any money off that? We don't know. We do know that they received a lot of money. I think it was over $700,000 from Kennedy-based PACs and organizations that went into Rescue the West. So the question is, was there a payback? And ultimately, and this is what we cannot prove yet, but was there a quid pro quo here? You helped Kennedy with this joint fundraising committee, getting potentially on the ballot, and we give you this. We don't know that, but that will probably help knowing a little bit more about their financials and where their money went.
Thank you, Jeremy. All right. So I guess when it comes to this, is this the sort of thing that you would be including in some sort of brief? Thank you, Meredith. that you'd be including in a brief to the JC. You said you're looking forward to writing another one. So
I will be more than happy to address whatever they want to write, whatever Chatterton and Martin and Roos want to write on there. I'd be more than happy to.
So for everyone, what can we expect to come out of this appeal to the JC?
I think it'll be a lot of whining, a lot of people upset that they can't read very fast, that they need more time to read, that they don't know how to read. It's all the government's fault that they can't read.
You can listen to us reading it to you, by the way, everyone.
Well,
Kyle and myself.
Seems like
Well, I don't have the
main
attention
complaint
span for
is
that.
there's just
Yes.
not enough evidence that the person who incorporated a sole proprietorship was actually the one running it. So therefore,
Even though they admit
therefore,
to
this
running
is just
it.
a smear job. Clearly, this is just a smear job.
Yes.
Boy.
You need to believe them, but you can't take their own words seriously when it comes to saying that they were running something.
Angela is a known liar, so I don't know what I'd trust. She said she resigned to take a job in the Trump administration, and now it's that I was forced out of the Libertarian National Committee. That's one of the best things they put out.
Well, she was also talking about demonic possession. I mean, maybe she was just possessed by demons when she said that she and her partner were running, we're running.
It was me. I was the demon.
Calls.
Joe wants to know what font, Jake, you plan on using for this report. Because, again, the font was very small, and that was the other problem. It was 94, but if the font had been smaller, or rather, the font had been larger, it would have been even longer.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, I'm going to use really small words that way they can understand, and probably put it in about, 20-point font.
Like Comic Sans MS probably would be a good choice for them.
I may draw, crayons and get
pictures.
some pictures in there to make sure that it can be easily understood.
Show Angela just kind of walking to the IRS. And yeah, exactly. Kyle, you did find you listened to a little bit of Angela's podcast that coincided with our solidarity stream last night with Lars, and you said that she wanted to talk about it. So this is really your own doing. You're walking into this. Have at it.
So the first thing in this is I want to give a quick overview of the claim that was made last night. The claim that was made is that they are this close to kicking all of us Lolberts out, but they need $50,000 more to do it.
We're very expensive to kick out, apparently. It costs a lot of money to physically remove us.
Yeah. She doesn't need activists. She just needs you to go to the state and national level and vote. Which, as someone who's been organizing states for the last year at this point to make sure that she can't do that, you can't do that.
I think the counter argument to that is that, well, that's sort of what they did to, and I mean, I have my own response. That's what they did for the initial RENA reaction. That they just got people to turn out to state conventions and vote the way that they were told to vote. So what's wrong with that? Isn't that effective?
It's effective when the other side doesn't know it's coming. It's effective when people are down and out already. It's effective when you've been setting it up for 6 years, which is what happened in 2022. It's Heiss began his bullshit in 2016. Mises started in 2017, and it wasn't until Joe did well in 2020 that the Republicans sent people over to help the Mises caucus. And that's where the money came from. That's where some of the organization came from up top when Heiss and Angela are like, oh, we're not going to tell you about our secret things. We got whales. The whales were minor Republican people. And so those people are now like, why would we help you now? You destroyed the party for us already. It's not coming for them. There is no Republican backup coming. There is no Maha backup coming. We can see it in the membership numbers. She's been doing this for months. It's not happening. They're not. The state numbers aren't going up. The national numbers aren't going up. We haven't seen donations increase. It's not happening. And so between that fact and the fact that we're seeing people come back, we're seeing people turn the gas on so that this party can actually grow and be something, she's going to get her ass kicked again and go back to the irrelevance she had before Heiss and Republicans wanted to put her in place in the first place. she is nothing. That's why, like, I've been working to not say her name on any of my socials. I know Amanda's been the same way. Like, she's just not worth talking about for the most part. She's a joke.
Well, I was going to say, like, okay, the idea, like, or like the whole tactic with having people show up and vote how they were told to, that worked back when the Mises Caucus initially said that they were going to be radical libertarians taking over the party and, you know, making it actually libertarian.
More radical than the radicals.
That was an attractive message to a lot of us who had been kind of disappointed with the direction that the Libertarian Party had been taking over the past several decades. So, like, I mean, I know a lot of the people who drove hours to state conventions and, you know, shared hotel rooms with 5 other people and stuff. Like, yeah, they went because they were true believers in what the Mises Caucus said that they were trying to do. But that's kind of gone now. Like, anyone who was actually libertarian is probably either gone. They either lost interest and left, or they were kicked out. So at this point, like, they're basically trying to recruit what, RFK people, Trump people. Like, they're already registered with other parties. Like, they only like the Libertarian Party if it can help, like, if they think it's going to help them achieve their goals. But they have no interest in joining and getting involved. So it's not going to work this time.
Yeah, that's a great point, because you know, they did this whole thing that, we're the radicals, right? And now it's, whenever you hear them talk about anything, it's pragmatic solution. They don't usually use the term pragmatism, but what they'll do is we can't gatekeep, we can't have purity tests. They're the people who came in on purity tests and gatekeeping. Bill Weld, they want to nominate worse Republicans and Democrats. It doesn't work. There's no message for this, and there's no way Trump supporters are coming over to the Libertarian Party, particularly as he destroys, just goes after Thomas Massie and other things like he does with this. It's not going to be attractive to libertarians to get them to show up, and Republicans already have their party and their candidate that they're satisfied with.
Right. And here's the other issue with let's just recruit loyal foot soldiers to show up and take marching orders. That doesn't work for a decentralized movement. Decentralized movement needs movement evangelists at all levels. So what that means is, again, if you have a hierarchical movement, we've talked about this before, how you can afford to do that, right? You can afford to have orders come down from on high and just tell someone what to do and they do it. And people just sort of imbibe the dictates. The issue is that when you are conducting a decentralized movement, which a movement that involves the Libertarian Party is innately going to be because it's national. So you can try to have a centralized messaging apparatus, as the Mises Caucus tries to do, but messaging then is A, sluggish, B, not innovative, which is what they want, and C, it is not replicable on the ground level. You've seen, at least I've seen, when campus protests are very savvy, what they'll do if they're trying to have a hierarchical movement is they will designate certain people to speak with the media. And then people other than those folks cannot talk with the media, right? So they try to be savvy about this when they have a decentralized yet hierarchical movement. What Mises is trying to do is they're trying to build something grassroots. They're trying to get people in that don't really have to think that hard. The problem is that exactly what happened last time, that only lasts so long. That only lasts until people actually start realizing that what they were promised isn't actually occurring, and they either drop out or they start thinking and voting for themselves, and they're kicked out. When you do not allow people, when you do not give people the knowledge and the requisite education to become movement evangelists, you need to have either a completely hierarchical centralized movement, or B, not let them speak or think at all. And it is not a long-lasting movement. It is not the type of thing on which you can build any sort of solution for any length of time. So this is once again strategic illiteracy, and I am trying to attack the strategy on the merits, but there are few of them, so it's difficult.
They don't get this. You know, I posted at one point that Mises fell apart so quickly after my report came out because they rely on centralized leadership. And once you take out centralized leadership, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to respond, and they crumbled. And that will happen in any, top-down leadership where it's highly centralized and people are told not to think on their own. They took that as me saying that I was against centralization, that was not what I said. I said, this is how you beat a highly centralized organization, which Mises is, where they control every aspect of the messaging. Once their leadership gets, once they no longer know what to do and they're disoriented, the whole thing comes crumbling down. That's why trying to beat them in traditional ways, which I think we had tried before, did not work. They were able to keep their message, hammer on that message, whether it was right or wrong, and tell a lot of lies in there too. But whenever that happened, whenever that ended, whenever they weren't getting the message to spread, they didn't know what to come up with on their own. It fell apart.
Right. Kyle, have you successfully delivered your rant here?
I have not really.
Okay, that's why I paused.
There's a claim that $50,000 does it. There's a claim that that's all we're worth. There's a claim that you could take over the entirety of the Libertarian Party with $500,000. There's talk about how the party is down to 7,000 sustaining members, and thereby it's easy to take over. All of these things are because of that stupid bitch. Angela McArdle is the person that rode the party down. She's the one who stole from the party, and she's now trying to use her own failure to take the party over. She is trying to destroy what we have all worked and built.
Well, she did say, why bother? Why build your own when you can go thrift shopping for one? Like, she's made it very clear. She wants to take what other people built and use it basically. What we already knew she was trying to do, turn it into a subsidiary of the Republican Party / MAGA movement.
That's the thing.
Not being subtle about it anymore.
I'm ranting, damn it.
I'm interrupting you because this is important. This is important. That look, all strategies need to be on the table here. All tactics need to be on the table. So I'm not going to condemn co-optation. But when it's for selling a party to someone else, then you're not doing it for any principled reason, right? So if you want to co-opt something, if you want to take something over, do it for a cause. Don't do it for your own coffers, your own pocketbook, whatever. Kyle, keep talking.
So Angela's basically saying, y'all, I've set this up already. They're weak. They can't do anything. They can't fight back. We can take this over. And she's full of fucking shit. There's 700,000 libertarians across this country. There are more libertarians who voted for Chase than have ever existed on Angela's backing. At the end of the day, yes, Maha is bigger than the numbers we got. But those people aren't there for libertarian ideology. They're not going to come here and attack us, but we have the ability to stand firm against them. We've got the ability to make sure that this party stays libertarian and continue building this party again. She has done everything in her power to destroy this party once, and she will never fucking touch this party again.
There's also a distinction between the gatekeeping that we're talking about. So they're saying, we don't want to do gatekeeping. We don't want to be hall monitors. I mean, there's no greater hall monitor than a sellout to a major political party. Come on, really? But the other thing, too, is that for them, it's gatekeeping to agree with dear leader, right? You agree with certain methods. You agree with certain tactics. A political party does have a role to play when it comes to gatekeeping ideologically, right? With the platform, with principles. But again, you vary on policy beliefs when you have the same principles. It's just inevitable, especially when you're a bunch of individualists. The thing, too, is that while the Libertarian Party needs to be for libertarians, libertarian action is for everyone, right? So that's not where we can gatekeep. It's not like, well, we're only going to work with libertarians. We're only going to issue coalitions with libertarians. No, build them with everyone. Work in the party. The party has to be for libertarians. So the Republican Party, if it were ideological, would be for Republicans. Democratic Party, if it were ideological, would be for Democrats, and so on. We are a minor party. We are one of the only, and we are the largest ideological party in the nation. We have an obligation to engage in that type of gatekeeping, but not the type of gatekeeping that says you have to agree with everything that I do and not question it, which is exactly the type of gatekeeping that we're talking about within the Mises Caucus.
The Reform Party.
Yeah. We have watched what's supposed to happen if you disagree with a party. Mike Termott has taken the people who believe that they can make change through the Republican machine and gone to the RLC. They're in the Republican Liberty Caucus.
Which is good.
If Angela McArdle believes that Republicans are the way to make change, she is welcome to go to the Republicans, and we will all wave her happy trails. The fact of the matter is that this party is for libertarians, and we are not going to be the JV version of Republicans. We are not going to sit there and play the game of, oh, well, we'll play spoiler if you don't be careful and do what we say, and so we can get one person freed. We are not turning $1 million a year, which is what we had been getting, into one single person's freedom from fucking prison. We are not doing these things. We are going to fix the problems with the prisons. We're not sitting there and fighting for one person's freedom. We're fighting for the liberty of every single fucking person who's been arrested right now. When you're talking about multiple percents of our country, the most incarcerated people in the world in the United States, that's who we're fighting for. Ross's freedom is a great thing. Ross's freedom means nothing compared to the 3 million other people who are already sitting there behind bars, behind all the people who are sitting with all the charges behind them, all the people who are there for smoking weed, who are there for minor fucking drug charges and everything else. This is not something that she can do. This is not something we're going to allow her to do. This is something that we are all going to fight for. We're going to take back every fucking state, and we're going to make sure that the people who want to be Republicans are not here. And it's not going to be by sitting there and telling them they can't be here, but by showing them that our way is better.
Exactly. And it's on the demands that we're making. It's on the demands that we are taking out in the grassroots to people and actually saying, end laws against victimless crimes, absolute prison reform, end qualified immunity, and certificate of need. Then the medical cartels, all of this.
And this has been, and one of our commenters is saying, the Libertarian Party has already been co-opted. See the bar route, Johnson, Gray, and Johnson, well, president's ticket. I will say that we have for years given up what being libertarians meant, and that has gotten worse under what the Mises Caucus did these past couple of years, and it has allowed us to become the Reform Party. And what happened to the Reform Party? They were very big after the 96 election with Ross Perot. And what happened? In 2000, they were co-opted, taken over by Roger Stone, if he's to be believed, and destroyed.
Right.
Also used Donald Trump to do that. So an important history lesson there. We have become the Reform Party. We stand for absolutely nothing, and we will die because we stand for nothing. There's a reason why we've been around for 50 years, because we stand on an ideological principle of libertarianism. And the second that we give that up, we have no reason to exist. And there is a much better way to do this. If you want to actually get major parties to steal your ideas, there is a way. It's a proven way. The socialists did this. You run very good campaigns. You get as high of percent vote totals as you can on those issues, and you make the Democrats and Republicans steal those issues. They will steal those issues. You're not going to get everything you want, but you're going to get a lot more. They will steal that. You don't compromise anything. You don't give up anything. Mm-hmm. That is the role of the Libertarian Party, and we forget that because we want this relevance. It's not relevance to sit around and, I get a cabinet position. Well, you don't get a cabinet position. RFK gets a cabinet position because he sold that where he can do horrible things like tell everyone they have to wear a stupid watch that tells them their blood pressure. Mm-hmm. That isn't libertarianism, and it's not helpful.
We've also seen candidates be successful on this. We've watched Ryan Woodcraft go, it's a local election, it's a small win relatively, because it's only a school board, but we've watched people take libertarian ideology and go out and stand with people and talk to them about this until they've been able to take over groups. And we've watched people like Kevin Hale, also out of Texas. Kevin hasn't won, but he's run repeatedly. And every single time that he ends up on a debate stage, the other people's entire narrative changes from then on. We've watched things that the Democrat that he stood against on debate this last year was completely against. And after debating with Kevin, she's now voted for them. That is change directly by sticking to your principles and your ideology.
And not just a single person, right? Jake brought the point up about the Reform Party. This is what happens when a party follows the candidate or the party follows just the chair, right? The chair, the candidate, everyone involved with that party is a representative of the party, not the other way around. If you have a party that only exists to serve a particular candidate or a particular chair, what you're going to do is you're going to get a candidate-run party, which is what happened with La Follette. It's what happened with the Reform Party. And once that person goes and the party dies, it doesn't stand for anything outside whether the candidate or the chair says it stands for. We actually have a platform. We hold to those principles.
You know, not to Angela McArdle myself here, but in 2018, I ran for governor.
You're stealing money from us?
Is this your victory lap?
Didn't steal money. 2018, I ran for governor. The governor who was re-elected, Kim Reynolds, invited me to speak with her. I called her up on election night, congratulated her. She invited me over to talk to her in her office. We did. I convinced her to restore voting rights to 50,000 Iowans who had served their time, paid for their crimes, and she did. It took her a while, but she did. Once she found out the legislature wasn't going to act, she did that executive order. She also put me on her certificate, a 5-person certificate of need board. In that position, I made decisions that were the tie-breaking decisions to allow nursing home expansion, to allow outpatient procedures to happen. Now, we can argue and say this board shouldn't exist. It shouldn't exist, but it does exist or did exist, and that was a libertarian win. But I didn't compromise anything. I didn't give up anything. Now, she knew that I was less likely to run against her, but I didn't give up anything for that. It was something that she reached out to do and offered. But I didn't make no deal. I didn't cut no deal that hurt the Libertarian Party of Iowa, that hindered our ability to run candidates. I didn't stab any of our candidates in the back either. Mm-hmm. It was done after the election because that's what will happen. And this whole thing of just during the election, just dropping out, that will destroy the Libertarian Party in one election cycle, and it did.
Right. Kyle had his rants. We all had our rants. And Donald Trump released a rant yesterday about Vietnam. So I think this is on Truth Social. Donald Trump announced a new tariff/trade deal. Quote, "It is my great honor to announce that I have just made a trade deal with the Socialist Republic of Vietnam after speaking with To Lam, the highly respected General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam. It will be a great deal of cooperation between our two countries. The terms are that Vietnam will pay the United States a 20% tariff on any and all goods sent into our territory and a 40% tariff on any transshipping. In return, Vietnam will do something that they have never done before, give the United States of America total access to their markets for trade. In other words, they will open their market to the United States, meaning that we will be able to sell our product into Vietnam at zero tariff. It is my opinion that the SUV, or as it is sometimes referred to, large engine vehicle, which does so well in the United States, will be a wonderful addition to various product lines within Vietnam. Dealing with General Secretary To Lam, which I did personally, was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your attention to this matter." End quote. There's a problem, and other than tariffs or taxes, there's an issue where Donald Trump seems to care so much about trade deficits. We do have what he would call a trade deficit with Vietnam. The idea that Vietnam is going to open their market to the United States and sell product at zero tariff doesn't really help much when we don't do much to begin with in terms of exporting things that Vietnam has any interest in. I like the zero tariff bit, but it should be going both ways.
Absolutely. It's like he once again is refusing to believe that we pay the tariffs. He's literally
it's just gonna hurt the country that didn't do exactly what we wanted it to.
Yeah, we're paying the 20%, the 40%.
Exactly. He is literally bragging that we have put taxes on our people, and Vietnam isn't taxing their own people, and that's somehow good for us. He's just the stupidest human being. It's incredible. So Danny's pointed out that they're not sure how they haven't come across LP Alliance sooner, and this is what they've been looking to hear from other big and small L libertarians, and this is a great panel. Thank you so much. We're here for news like this every Thursday at 8. We also do interviews throughout the week. So like last night we had Lars Mapstead on. We've had Caryn Ann on this last week. Meredith was on this last week, though I think she would probably argue that her time was not enough compared to Caryn Ann's.
Was that our longest stream yet?
No, I think our longest stream was when we read the SIC report, unfortunately, which we did. In case you don't want to read it, we read it for you in funny voices.
We did, which is where chat found out that Amanda and I can both do at least some impressions.
Yes.
Because sometimes you need Kermit the Frog on your stream.
I just did dialects. We also, I saw this as I was scrolling through, Elon Musk has been upset lately. He's upset about the big, beautiful bill. He's upset about his time during the Trump administration. He's upset and he wants to form a political party. And so now there is rumbling and grumbling within the LP. Perhaps we should court Elon Musk. We talked about this a little bit. But it was a little bit more conjecture. Now Elon Musk is actually talking about forming one. I think, honestly, let him see just how difficult it is to get ballot access as a minor party. And I will unmute him.
He's gonna want ours, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
And so there are people who are going to think it's a good idea.
Should we sell the Libertarian Party to Elon Musk? Lightning round, yes or no?
Well, no. And I do want to say, though, that so ballot access for him wouldn't be much. It's not much for a billionaire. It's a lot for a millionaire. Even someone like Lars, who's got a lot of money, that would be a huge struggle for him for the ballot access in every place. Elon could do it. I mean, he spent $250 million, $10 million to probably buy him presidential ballot access. He could do a lot with the money he's got. Mm-hmm. He's also got a big enough name to petition. But no, he doesn't need us. We don't need him.
Rose?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, like,
sorry.
I was going to say, like, okay, it sounds great. Okay, he has tons of money he could use to help prop up the party. But, okay, what happens when someone has a ton of money they can give to your party, but they can take that money away at any point? Okay, nothing is free. They're going to have certain ideas about how you run the party, what type of messaging you do, where you direct, like what you focus on. We've already seen this. Okay, people have not learned their lessons from the Kochs. What happened when the Kochs got involved in libertarianism? They ended up pushing a very watered down, establishment-friendly version of libertarianism. Okay, so yeah, like Koch-funded outlets would often have, they'd have good takes on things like police brutality or drug legalization. One thing that they would always steer clear of, though, is taking a particularly strong stance on things like state money monopolies and the central banking cartels, or like they would be in favor of deregulation, but somehow it would they'd only ever focus on deregulation when it was regulations that just so happened to be inconvenient to large corporations. It was never across the board deregulation. They were all about tax cuts when it would benefit the people who just so happened to be funding these outlets. But again, nothing is ever free. Okay, you want to take money from a billionaire, fine, but you're going to end up with a very watered down version of libertarianism. Like that person is going to set the terms of what your movement, like the direction that your movement is going to take.
Joe brings up a good point, which is that there is an issue of the LP having a competitor. If Elon Musk goes on and forms another minor party, is this going to take potential members from the LP? Is this something we should be concerned about? Should we try to get his money and see if we can kind of keep him in the background, sweep him under the rug in order to keep from having a competitor? I'm just going to wait until Kyle pays attention.
Kyle was looking at something with a website. I'm sorry. I did not hear you at all on that one.
You can see Joe's question, which is that there is an issue. Well, it's not a question, statement. There's an issue of the LP having a competitor. So is this the sort of thing that we should be worried about? Should we try and maybe keep things under wraps with, I've changed my mind. I don't want to hear from Kyle anymore. I hear from Jake.
Oh, no, I'm here.
Or Rose. No, too late.
Nope.
Is it...
This is easy to solve. Hold on. There. So at the end of the day, what Elon Musk has is money and not much else. Yes, he can build companies. Yes.
No, Rose, your headphones are working fine.
Oh, I couldn't hear Kyle for a moment.
Your headphones are working just fine. All right. It's only a few seconds. You can go on.
Oy vey. So all Elon would bring in would be like a lack of ideological purity. And that's why I'm not afraid of the American Party, right? That he's talking about starting. They literally would be dead in 10 years. They would come out, they would cause problems for a little while, but because of the fact that they aren't starting from a platform that can be pointed to repeatedly and say, that's what we believe, they'd be dead, they'd be gone. And at that point, they'd either go back to being Republicans and Democrats, or they'd come back to being Libertarians. It's a temporary thing only. What he'd be looking to build would be a flash in the pan. I don't care about a flash in the pan. This is a long haul game. This is like anyone who thinks that liberty can be solved and bought and fixed in 2 years, 4 years, 10 years is insane. This is effectively a like forever war, right? Because there will always be statists. There will always be authoritarians. There will always be people who want to take your freedom away because they think they know what's better for you. It's nonsense. And as long as those people exist, which as long as there's humans, they will, there has to be something like a libertarian party to stand against them. I'm not afraid of another party competing with us because they won't compete with us. It's the same thing I've tried to tell the Liberal Party folks, right? Like, they have an ideology. They have a strong thing set. They have got a lot of people who can fight for ballot access and everything else.
Well, the
At the
Liberal
end of
Party
the day,
doesn't have
we're
as much
here.
money as Elon Musk.
That's true. You think that dropping $1 billion on them is going to suddenly like make them long-term viable? I don't.
I think that it can. I think honestly, what Elon Musk would very quickly do is realize he's much more effective as a PAC. But what I think is that we can prevent this through not bought media, but earned media, which is, again, when we start backing actual causes and do grassroots work and start actually mobilizing members rather than waiting for someone to basically waiting to back a candidate every 2 to 4 years. When we do that, when we mobilize members to get visibility for candidates in those 2 to 4 year periods, that is when we actually start to generate attention. And more than that, we generate social change. Because when you perform it, you begin to believe it, right? If you engage in an action, it conscripts you into a particular way of doing things and of believing things. You start to do grassroots work, and it can do more in the long run, and certainly in terms of generating mass attention, than a particular ad campaign can. I know Joe, but he will very quickly learn that like it is much easier to do things via PAC than via a political party.
Unless he just wants to destroy the Republican Party. And the quickest way to do that is to start a new party, take enough votes, elect Democrats, and Elon can win. He can get even that way. If that's his intention, and I don't know what his intention is, then it would be beneficial. There is that comment that Joe made, which is a point well taken, that he will, in the short term, hurt the Libertarian Party. He will, but you know what? We survived John Anderson in the 80s. We survived Ross Perot in the 90s. We survived Ralph Nader in the 2000s. These things always come up. We will survive because we have an ideology.
Here's one people aren't going to want to hear. We survived Ron Paul. Ron Paul was against us. Ron Paul was on the Republican side.
He ran as a Republican now.
We survived the biggest attack on the Libertarian Party ever from someone who's a libertarian.
Although he brought people to the Libertarian Party.
There was an exodus of people in 2007, 2008, where they became Republicans. But I do think that he brought a lot of awareness to libertarianism that later on brought people, I think, into the party.
Well,
I
he
do think
he kind of made libertarian ideas mainstream. Like he took these ideas such as being anti-drug war, anti-imperialism, and he made other people think, hey, there are other people out there who think the same things I do, and this philosophy has a name. Like, yeah, I think getting up on stage and publicly condemning the war on terror at a time when that was a very unpopular thing to do, like that, I think that did a lot for our movement. So.
Yeah, but there was a temporary thing, and there were people that wouldn't support us. There were people that were naive enough to think that he was going to be the Republican nominee in 2008, and there was a lot of that where they did leave the Libertarian Party, and there were people I knew that even right up until he dropped out thought that he was going to win, but he did mainstream a lot of these ideas and did bring people in. The party wasn't in a position or didn't put themselves in a position to take advantage of it. I'll put it that way. And that was our fault.
We do have Donald Trump taking advantage of his position as troll in chief. I'm trying with the segues, guys. I really am. I'm trying for Kyle mostly. There is now what is being called Alligator Alcatraz. You're not welcome. Now, I, for one, do support replacing ICE agents with alligators. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I am fully behind it. Your taxpayers' dollars will be going to the reconstruction of what was an air training base into a prison, into a detention center for, right now, illegal immigrants, but also possibly just homegrowns, as Donald Trump likes to call them. This is being built in the Everglades. And it's expected to cost a lot of money. So Alligator Alcatraz.
Don't worry, Trump knows the designer. He said he knows people who built that originally.
So there we go. And
that's how he knows it's the best concentration camp in the. Like no one builds better concentration camps than Trump and people he knows.
The difference. Joe, aren't you down there in Florida? Why are you not marching on this place right now? Honestly. Why is LP Florida not marching on Alligator Alcatraz? I'm serious.
They're alligators there. That's why they're not marching.
Well,
that's not a good idea.
Fair, but I mean, you probably recruit the alligators. I feel like they have some libertarian impulses.
I would think so.
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to respect the zoning ordinance. That's for sure. Alligator, absolutely not. So we have this new detention center. This is a problem when you have somebody who enjoys trolling and owning the libs that don't exist anymore, owning the progs, and can actually do things. Genuinely, Alligator Alcatraz is a troll. It's a troll because we can't reopen actual Alcatraz, and Donald Trump thought it would be really cool to reopen actual Alcatraz because, other presidents of other countries and other dictators have really awesome maximum security prisons that torture people, and we don't. And it's kind of sad because we used to be cool. So he wants to reopen Alcatraz, is not able to do that, and as a result decides to open Alligator Alcatraz because he's got buddies in Florida. Ron DeSantis is his buddy.
He's been telling us for a decade he's going to drain the swamp. What did you think he meant?
I mean, is he draining it or is he just...
Yeah, you can't put a building in a swamp, Amanda. They got to drain some of the...
That's literally all that DC is. It's a bunch of buildings and a big...
We're not talking about the people. So they're just going to drain the Okefenokee. That's how they're going to get their alligators. Problem
DC
solved.
Is also a literal swamp.
Yeah, but it's one that's been set on fire by Canada, so...
So is that an idea? Was that you use a call to action there?
This is my message to the Libertarian Canadian Party. If you decide to firebomb the U.S., start with Alligator Alcatraz.
That's getting clipped and will be presented at your trial to send you to Alligator Alcatraz.
Nice.
All right. We are 10 minutes after, 11 minutes after. We have a meeting at 8:30. So we are about ready to check out our Canadians-based. Yes.
In general, no. The Libertarian Canadian Party?
Yes.
Hell yeah, they are.
By the way, I have something to say. I had no
yes.
idea I was supposed to be allowed to still keep talking.
Oh, you absolutely were.
yes.
Yeah, that's why we kept you on
So I
screen.
asked Kyle, and so it wasn't that I was ignoring you. I didn't know that I was like still talking after that. I would have had a lot to say. And now that the meeting is over, or the stream is over, just so you know, I would have had stuff to say if I would have understood the rules.
You're welcome back anytime. And since now you understand the rules, but as long as we keep you on the screen, you are fully capable of continuing to talk.
Yeah, didn't you watch like a week and a half ago? Everyone's allowed to talk until I throw them off because they're hectaroos.
Yeah, we've had lots of people joining us lately. We've had all sorts of interlopers. They're because we've been shopping for a Kyle replacement for a while now. So
it's true.
Yeah,
we've tried Rob out, but it turns out he gets just as mopey as I do.
Right. Yeah. We tried Sarah, I think, last week or the week before last.
Sarah's good.
Yeah, but Amanda had to put her in the gulag because she was like, she's competing with me on looks. It's not happening.
It's not what happened. I never said that.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here, Mimi. And again, we'll have you back again when you're feeling better, and you will be welcome to speak at any time, especially when Kyle's talking. Just feel free to like jump in and bulldoze over what he's saying. He likes it. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
The 4th is tomorrow. There is a No Kings protest demonstration tomorrow. And again, Libertarian Party is the only party of no kings. There's also a demonstration on the 17th. There will be demonstrations all summer. We are telling you to get out and to get your affiliates out as well and tell everyone what No Kings means. Make actual demands that can get seen, that can get heard, that can get picked up in media, things like that. No Kings means free immigration, means end mass deportations and defund ICE, means repeal the War Powers Act, abolish the imperial presidency, and end offensive wars. It means independent commerce, repeal all tariffs, end corporate subsidies, and destroy agricultural and medical cartels. It means worker empowerment, ending big corporate and union monopolies, supporting local independent organizing, and repealing anti-democratic blocking charges against workers seeking alternative modes of organization. It means due process, abolishing all laws against victimless crimes. It means civil liberties, ending qualified immunity, and the use of military force against civilians. It means us. We are the only party of no kings, and we are looking forward to being out there with you and through the rest of this summer. Guys, we're getting started. So thank you so much for being here with us. We have Stephen as well on Wednesday that we know of. That is our Wednesday Solidarity stream coming up, LPA After Dark. Otherwise, we will be seeing you again on Thursday. And until next time, we are the Business List. We're gonna say anarchy. And we're gonna say anarchy. Full transparency. Now I wanna see anarchists on the business list. Destroy!